We find ourselves on the same beach line in which the second exam had ended with. However, you made it out of that mountain alive, it led you here. On this large beach line with the approaching sun, it'd been about a couple of hours since you'd left the mountain. The sun was now high overhead. It was maybe noon or a little past. Off in the distance, you could see approaching ships, along with the ones that were already on the beach line. For now, though, the area seemed to quiet a bit. People getting up from their naps, people having done a couple of changes, whether they were spearfishing for turtles or whether or not we see individual people bandaging their wounds and getting ready for the next exam. This is when an announcement is made by your previous hunter that the next exam will be beginning soon. Let's go ahead and take our perspective from the cloudy sky overhead, the one that seems like maybe a storm or rain is on its way. As we come down the mountain, and we go ahead and we observe whoever would like to describe what they're doing at the moment. Ah! You just Jens! As we see the man grip around Jens's shoulders, almost like hoisting him up like a fireman carry. Bloody hell, you know how to pick him! One more! I'm gonna have to give me his name again. No, I can find it. Forgive us, it has been almost a month since anybody has done a session in this server. We're all gonna need some slack. His name was Van. Yeah, Van. His name is Van Jens. It's so big you have to use two hands. Jesus. So big. I actually never went bear fishing before. This is new to see. Oh. I've just never been around water. Oh. That's dark. Right. No. Well, like I said, I've never been around water long enough to fish. Thought never crossed my mind either. No. I didn't. You see almost a bit of a snarl on his face. One of slight uncomfortability? Anger? It was really a dice up between the two. There's nothing to talk about I haven't already told you. You already did my feet in the water? Squinting, looking at you, Van would slowly reach down, slipping off those leather boots as he would uncomfortably dip his big right toe into the water with a slight shiver. With a slight grimace, you would see him roll up his pant legs, preferring to keep them unwet, as he plopped down beside you with his legs out in the air before plunging them. With a slight shiver, you see his face distort and just. Ugh. It is cold. That's real cold. Uh, Through the clearer water, you would see as he would whisk around his toe, beginning to draw up a bit of the sand from the shoreline. Ugh, it ain't terrible. By the way, Potato Drifter, if your character would, you're free to interact at any point. Not deep. They're on the shoreline. Yeah. Right. That that don't sound bad to me. As Van would come out of the water, a similar splash would happen. His hammer was at the bottom of the boat as he began to use it similar to the paddle. As when he dips the head of the hammer into it, you see the water sort of frost over before he swapped to the handle instead of the head. Van is full on frowning, looking at Brynhar. On on his left hand, you would see him holding this massive sledgehammer that seemed to have ice built up around the head of it. In his right, you would see a muzzle, what seemed for a dog, as well as a straitjacket. He was just sort of carrying it alongside him, as he didn't respond to you. Rather, when you spoke to him, he turned his head and looked to Jens. Who's this fat ass talking to me? Right. Ah, no. I just find it funny that I'm his replacement and did it better. Van's 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 frown turned into rather a wicked smile as His sharpened teeth, almost feral-like, would expose themselves. His sledgehammer would come up over his shoulder, along with his right hand holding the items, going to support the back of his neck. Oh, you're a real fucking character, ain't you? Well, our figure has something to do with the ships behind us. You would see his eyes slightly twitch. Van is avoiding eye contact, looking in the forest. What about that mackerel? It's a fucking beast. Cooked? No. The bloody hell, you people talking about cooking it? I've seen fucking Japanese people do this shit. As you would see Van reach over, push Jens down slightly by the shoulder, and take a bite out of the scales and flesh of the fish. as as he would begin to speak, you would see as small bits of the fleshy fish in the scales would spit out of his mouth, completely open mouth while he spoke. By the way, what do you mean? I thought this was how sushi was. Oh, oh. It's fine. As a bit of it spits onto, as a bit of it spits onto Jens's shoulder. Really? Oh my god. you, you're gonna say void, right? He doesn't have he doesn't have bullets. He doesn't have bullets. Oh, you hear 7 clicks. You hear 7 clicks. As Van would finally as Van would finally swallow, he would lean onto Jens's shoulder as straight fish breath. So what do you mean we're gonna cook it? How you plan to make a fire? Ah. No, this is a beach. No, this is just a beach on next to a forest. Wha- Alright, we'll go grab some different wood. You see him lick his lips. Van would shortly follow after Jens, leaving the butcher and the conman to their own vices. You got your two hands. Go ahead and roll me stamina. Dirty 100. Alright. While you describe your pit, Drifter, go ahead and roll me an attention check. I got you. Alright. I got you. As I was gonna do something different. Jesus Christ. No, it's fine. You can use both. So, Drifter, as you're looking around, you would notice as the man below you had finished making most of the pit in just in a few quick, efficient minutes. It would maybe be about 6 feet deep, and it was shaped to fit the whole mackerel in pieces. You would see leaves at the bottom of the pit, these dried leaves from the pine trees nearby that would cover the entire bottom of it, along with whatever rocks you could find. It wasn't a lot, but it would work pretty well. Along with that, a big old stick that seemed to be this massive piece of driftwood. You cleaned off a bit of the sand as you skewered the fish from mouth to ass with it, putting it all the way through this pit in pieces as it was ready to light. As for... Oh, go ahead. Drifter, as you were previously looking around, one of the more notable things you noticed is people began to gather at the shoreline, waiting for the encroaching boat that had previously been coming. You would see a few familiar faces, particularly that same group of six that had sort of haunted you throughout the first few, or the first two exams. As you know, a group of six I'm talking about? Yes. They seem to be conversing and discussing amongst themselves. A bit of an argument maybe arising. You could hear in the faint distance their yells at each other. Maybe they were just getting excited. There would be stuff like torn clothes in which people had to use for patching up their wounds. That would be the most abundant thing. You would see as the merchant, the same greedy man who had flipped up the dress of the angel, or whatever you call that thing. He'd seemed to have been raising his voice at the large red-headed man. Dude, you gotta slow down. I mean, fucking hell. You're telling me you had the opportunity to kill that bitch and off that bitch, and you just decided to do nothing about it. You and that white-haired freak. As he would look over to the man covered in, how you say, bishop's attire, as they would look almost offended, placing a hand upon their chest. The red-haired man would speak up. It was unnecessary to kill her, and for some reason he had interest in her. Can you just handle one mature decision that we made without you? Oh my god. What about boss? What about when he hears this? You know what we were here to do, and you're actively not fucking doing it. I mean, that's just. He would pinch the bridge of his nose as he would go for a heavy slap to the man with the red hair before his wrist was caught, and they engaged in a bit of a stare down. You could feel a bit of the air pressure come at you from this slap being caught. They stood there for a couple of seconds, staring at each other, before the man with the stitches all across his face would step in between, staring at the loud one, the merchant, staring him deeply before slightly pushing him by the shoulders. It seemed he got the memo as he just fucking he just raised his hands into the air in a bit of a flail, beginning to walk away, heading towards the ships. Alright, you know what? Fucking whatever, I'm over it. Jesus Christ. Yes, sir. In the meantime, Jens, shall we go back? Van would emerge from the shrubbery with this sort of hollowed out dead log that used to be a stump as he stumbles over himself, tripping on one of the vines as he plants face first into the sand a bit in front of B. Bloody hell. As he would drop the large dead log at his feet. Is enough driftwood for you? And whatever the hell that fucking he grabbed. Oi! As he would clap his hands in front of the butcher. Is enough? Jesus. So there's already like maybe 30 large vessels docked at the beach, and there's a few more coming in from the shoreline. People are already gathering up there. You'd have to cook it at a higher heat and probably char the outside. Mm. Oh, bloody hell. Jesus. Yeah. Maybe we show. Ship looks decently close. Right. I assume the group would follow. As you few would begin to head over towards the shoreline. One moment. The ship would come ever so closer and closer. As eventually you would see a face pop out the front of the mast as it was maybe 200 feet away. You saw the glint of metal in this little sunlight you had. As eventually you would hear a yell. Greetings, contestants! I am your next examiner, Sir Kenzo Horo! As eventually the ship would crash onto the shoreline, sending sand out for hundreds of feet. The mast of the ship and the... Sorry, what are they called? I'm blanking on the name of the flags. Are they just called flags? Okay. The flags of the ship would begin to sort of go down as he entered the beach line. He would be at the front of the ship, drawing a naginata from his side and pointing it to the air. I am an expedition hunter, your next examiner. Going to see the world, marking things unknown and finding treasures, gold, and relics beyond your knowledge. For your next exam, you'll be on these very vessels I let the Hunter Association borrow. So keep damn good care of the ladies. As he would take his naginata and point it down at the crowd with an immensely serious expression, sort of completely contrasting his otherwise bubbly personality. You would fear this malice just for a second. Now, what'll ye be doing? It's quite simple, really. Get to the island a few miles offshore, but that ain't it. You'll need to be 3 less people on your ship. Going in there with 9 people boarding, 3 teams of 3. As once you're all settled, I'll bestow upon you a prince to take care of. Think of your prince as the man you need to protect most. And your prince will also knight one of you sorry sacks of scum. While you're knighted, you'll be immune to all physical attacks. If you be hurt as a knight, the person harming you is immediately disqualified along with their team. If you kill a man on this expedition without reason or in pursuit of another team's prince, you'll also be disqualified. Once one of the princes is killed on the vessel, all 6 other contestants pass that weren't protecting the now no longer with us prince. Think of this as one of those board games. Capture the flag, free for all, with hints of betrayal and deception. As he would take the naginata and put it over his back. As he would jump forward and cut open part of his own ship as crates begin to spill onto the shoreline, cracking one open. The wood would sort of unveil suits of armor and weapons. Oh, and I need to remind you not to leave the ships, as if you fall off or get pushed, let's just say they smell your fear. Come on now. As As he go ahead. Right, right. You said teams of three? He said teams of three. You know what? Van would sort of wave his hand over his shoulder, taking the muzzle and strapping it to his side as he waved away from Jens. You already got a team that seems to want to be with you. I'll go fucking muck up someone else. How about that? I mean, look behind you at the two fucks wanting to be on your team, they said. Yeah, sure. Next exam. Sure. So, if you have any questions, I will be answering out of character. Yes. There is one other option. As you would see a man walk up to the examiner, Mr. Kenzo Horo, you would watch as Kenzo, from his sort of overguarded, sort of overcoat, he would pull out this chicken hat as you hear bells ring on it. If you don't want to wear the armor, then you cannot be considered a knight. You'll be wearing this instead. As he shakes it and the bells would ring loudly. So, yes. Well, technically, you're all protecting the prince. You're all protecting the prince, but the knight cannot be harmed, and if he is, you disqualify the team harming you. Of course, I can still punch your face that has the metal helmet on. That's not harming you because it's metal. No, you will not be a knight if you have the chicken hat. Yes. No one else wears chicken hats. If you don't want the armor weighing you down. Yeah. If you don't have the armor, but you won't get the okay, you don't get the advantages of being a knight if you wear the chicken hat. It's supposed to be a weighed option between tank and acting as an aggressive team. The chicken hat gives you more mobility as the armor is obviously going to slow you down, but the armor means you're an invulnerable wall for the prince. No. What was your question, Jay? Oh, sorry. Does anybody else have any questions? So yeah, just to recap the rules, it's 3 teams of 3 going onto 1 ship each, as the objective is to kill another man's prince. You cannot harm the knight, but you can still attack them. You just cannot mortally wound them. Killing also makes you disqualified immediately. Um, Indirect killing is on the table. You can do that. So you can push someone into a shark's mouth. Yes. You cannot deal. So, yeah, you cannot kill them yourself. If you kill the prince, you also automatically win along with the other team who still has their prince. Mm-hmm. All right. If there is no further questions, who's wearing the armor and or chicken hat? All right. Potato, you are put in a full set of plate mail. Due to your height and size, you can't wear gauntlets. They do not have any gauntlets big enough for you. However, the armor and plate mail is about 80 pounds weighing you down. If you would so like, you may also choose any medieval weapon to add to your inventory. I will say they aren't going to have anything exotic. They'll have every normal medieval weapon, but they aren't going to have necessarily anything exotic. The Montante is not exotic, so absolutely. You may absolutely have a Montante. As B would get ready, suiting up for the next 5 or so minutes, as you see him progressively get more and more armor, you watch as this massive blade, 6 feet tall, would be placed over his shoulder, and the clouds part overhead just to give him a little bit of sunlight that casts over his metal armor. Just for a second. You are now the knight. It is very hot. Oh, alright. Once Jay gets back, I'll explain a little bit more. But, B, that armor is, hot. Loud incorrect buzzer. Thank you, thank you. Why's bro got his titties out? Why doesn't bro have his titties out? And? How young is the youngest kid? Never mind. Keep that shirt on, hooker. Oh, he's actually doing note sweep. Look at this nerd. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't take the chicken out. I'm gonna be honest. That's a perspective. That's a perspective. Well, the main thing about the chicken hat is that you aren't weighed down by the armor. And you also have the security that you cannot be killed still. You can still be hurt, but you just can't be killed. You're good, Jay. Welcome back. You alright? Alright. Well, let's go ahead and board our vessel, shall we? Due to how fast you guys actually made decisions, you guys get to choose something. As you would board one of these ships, you would find it empty, as you get to choose which level your team starts on. You can either do the top, middle, or bottom deck to start on. Yes, you are. Up until other teams make their choice. As is shown in the reference, the top deck is mainly sutured around ballistas, not exactly cannons, as that is much more preferable to sea beast hunting than it is to people hunting. As for gunpowder, you do have one keg barrel on the top deck. Oh, sorry, I missed it in the reference. There are actually two in the bottom deck. The middle deck seems to be housing, supplies, and sleeping quarters, as well as the captain's quarters. That is where you'll find all of your food and general items, like how you say rope or maybe some other exotic things. Where the bottom deck is actually suturing a more, how you say, unique bit of supplies. As opposed to general supplies like rope and food, this is where their armory stands. The top deck, of course, gets to, how you say, use ballistas and steer the boat. After it starts. You cannot loot from the first and second to go down to the third. Woo! I had a timer going. If you guys were talking for 17 more seconds, I would have penalized. All right. Yes. However, a discussion was still happening. All right. As you guys would take up stock on the first floor, this means you also get to see your competition enter and move down. What would end up happening? Where's my book? What? What happened to my... What? Chat! I lost my book! Kill yourself. Penalize these nuts. Where are you? Okay, there you are. Okay. What would end up happening is you get to see this group of three. Ironically enough, they seem like the stereotypical, almost biker gang. One of them being this sort of ginger man currently smoking a cigarette as you see him blow this puff of smoke into one of his friend's face. This even larger man who seemed to be comparable to the likes of the butcher in stature. He would waft away the smoke in his face, shouldering his own partner as he shoves him forward. The last would make the boat stairs sort of rattle, as this guy was a fucking giant. Standing over both of his own allies, he was in full ironclad armor, as you could see clear gaps in the armor just because they had nothing that would fit him. He didn't have any weapons, at least none visible, as he shook the boat nearby as he took individual steps. They would take the bottom deck. Next, I have to find the references. I swear I'm not schizophrenic, guys. I know I have them. Oh, I don't even know how to do that. Coming up next... Oh, fuck, I did the wrong thing. You'd see this sort of smaller, white-haired figure who did not look like he belonged at all in the Hunter exam. He would sort of strut up with a tired look in his eyes, wearing oversized clothes, a bit of a purple hoodie, and various silver jewelry, as they glare over at Beauregard with an exhausted look before they would smile and stick out their tongue, continuing with a bit of their strut. crazy fucking statement. Short, small guy sticks out tongue at you, being an ass. Nope. He just does it. As that's crazy. He's getting canceled, chat. As the third guy, in contrast, would be a bit bigger. Oh, well, yeah, thanks, game. That really helped. The third guy would be a bit bigger, having this large cloak over his face, as you would hear bells jingling underneath his mask. Or not his mask, sorry, his hood. He took the chicken hat. These three would take the middle deck. You know, if you leave and rejoin one more time, I'm going to invert your anal cord. Bing, 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 bing. As... Are we all ready? Not yet. I need you to be ready first. As each individual person got on their individual ships, it would take maybe 3 or 4 minutes as a megaphone would ring out. All right, your exam will begin briefly. To begin the exam on your boat, I'm going to need everyone on the top layer of their ship to initiate the mast. Pull down your banners and your sails as we prepare to set off. If you are still looking for your prince, please start opening random barrels. You'll find him soon. This goes for every team. You may. The first one you opened seemed to just be filled with potatoes, but the second one you opened, you see this glowing, bright light sort of shine out of it, almost like a flashlight in your face, as it slowly began to dissipate, as when you look down at it, you see a melon with a tiara taped to it. Please refer to visual refs. Yes. canvas. Uh, elaborate. Oh, yes. There would be yeah, there would be a netting of canvas. You can actually see it in the visual ref of the ship. In terms of, yeah, there is. Yeah, okay. Cook, Cook King. All right. Drifter, you're distant. We can't hear you. All right, there you go. We couldn't hear you for a second. Well done. As you would wrap up the prints in this canvas and secure sort of padding, a megaphone announcement would come out. The first team has already reigned victorious. Contestants number 13, 145, and 216. By the way, Jens, if you didn't pick up on it, 216 is a van. I am curious. What will the three of you be doing now? They're just hanging around. Peering down into the staircase, you don't see anything except for, well, the bed, as well as the entrance to the captain's quarters. As you can hear slight mutterings from inside of it, you can't exactly pick up words over the sound of sloshing waves and the movement overhead or underhead. You can tell they're in the captain's quarters, though. Yes. So, you're hoisting yourself down with like a rope to look down into it? I see, I see. So, leaning over the side of this ship and sort of almost falling into the water with every swash of the wave, you would get down to see into the back right window where you would faintly see in the captain's chair. You remember that larger man from the second group, the one with the hooded figure? You would see his sword that you hadn't seen before, this large sort of short sword you could presume was hidden under his cloak. It already had blood drawn on it. It's the only one you can see. Sort of adjusting your angle, you get to see a bit more forward, not by much, but on the table in front of the chair, what you end up seeing is a wrapped up ball. It seemed to be wrapped in clothing. Yes. Yes. This basketball sized object's roll me deduction. Ho ho ho. Ho ho ho. Yes, sir. With either bot you would like. Holy shit, you people. Examining. You know, I'll give you a little something extra for doing this. Examining the object, it seemed to be heavier than the previous melon, as when you squint and look a bit closer, you see something behind one of the chair legs rock out slightly, as you see the slight glint of a tiara. ice constructs? Yes. It is brittle and sharp, so a firing mechanism would dust it. As you few are talking, from the lower decks, you hear wood snapping. Uh, a montante is a 6-foot sword, bigger than your pole. Next to the powder keg, this barrel seems to be filled with. One second. Ah, right. This one's filled with rope lining. Replacement rope for the mast. Indeed. Hey, Drifter. As you would say this, off in the distance, you hear lightning strike. Rain is beginning to form. Peering back into the window again, the man is gone. The previous basketball sized wrapped one is still on the table, but you no longer see the glint under the original table. There aren't exactly great shadows. The only shadows that are being cast are from the lit lanterns on the ship. The sky is darkening along with the clouds. Coming in from the left, you would actually see... Is that a... Oh, he's just laying down. You see a guy laying down in the window rear view. You can't see anything above or below his elbow as his elbow is in sight. He's laying down. No, sir. As you would lean in more and more, you would end up getting a face shot of this guy. As you see his eyes completely wide open and unmoving. What? Yeah, he kind of has those fish eyes. You cannot see that. Nope. There are still a few places you cannot see, but allow me to do this. So let's say you can see in from these two windows on either side, right? This means your vision cuts off from here on either side up to here on either side. So you can't see anything from this line, and you're also missing these corners. But otherwise the room is clear beside the body that's right here. Right here. So, right here what you would end up see is... What would you see? Alright, that's what you would see. Nothing much has changed except for the fact that these chairs are now sprawled out, as well as some of these cots have been taken off of the walls. It seems like the room has generally just been roughed up. You got a Montante. So you've used 3. 1, 2, 3. You have 1 left. Yes. You may, as when you look down into this grate, you can see the faint outline of a person standing right here. You're gonna, like, rip up the floorboards? They do not. You know, these boats are in good condition, so you're not exactly gonna find holes. So, to physically put your head in the window, you're gonna have to suspend yourself in air somehow with, like, a rope or a person. No, because that is a floor beneath you. I heard you pretty strong. Okay, so, Jay, yeah, so if you're standing right here, the windows you're looking in is a floor below you. Yeah, you're right here where this is a floor below you seeing in. Well, how would you carefully latch on the side of the ship? My bad, I did not understand that. No, it is. Yeah, no, it is flat on its side, kind of like this, as you see the shape is. From what I've been getting, what I've been hearing is that you've just been like a doorway. Yeah, that's all right. You may. What's Butcher doing? What's B doing? Hey, Potato. One time, as you would look up, you would see, while you're looking up, far off in this naval fleet, basically, you would see a sinking ship, along with the sounds of wood snapping. You would also, past this sinking ship, see another ship hit into another ship, completely steering wood against wood as they clash and begin to break. Just a little detail. Quite. You can hear it from about, I'd say you're, what, 400 feet away? Yeah, you can hear it from there. About 6 ships over. I'm just saying you see it. As the ship would crash into one another, hey, Eno, you want to describe how you get fucked while boarding the other ship? You remember what happened? As the two ships clash, you would actually see a familiar face with the tattoos, sort of very, very faintly. You can make out the face of Luke, as when he jumps over the other ship, you see him get completely fucking dusted by a wooden plank as he falls onto the ship and out of your sight. Looking on your opposite side, you see some of the ships that have already made it past to you guys, speeding up at full speed with their sails to the wind. You see 2 ships to your left, 13 standing at the epicenter of the ship. You know, you remember Vados, as he is currently standing there eating watermelon rind. That is 2 ships to your left, so that's maybe 150 feet. He's already completed his mission. He has no reason to come over to you. uh, the one directly on your left, you can see people on the top deck panicking. Just these little sort of small figures in your eyesight as they seem to be carrying around the melon, tossing it between each other, generally just terrified, in hysterics. Jens is not in your sight, and where's Beauregard?
The process is going to be a minute, so I figured I'd give you your burger while it's hot.
Thank you. From the second deck to the first, this is the one going down, and this is the one going up. So, this is the one going down to the third. This is the one going up. So it's right. How you? Oh, my throat. Sorry. It's basically right behind the staircase. Yeah, right behind the scarecrow. Sorry. Roll me. You said insight. So let's go ahead and say it is going to be inference. Or, well, if you're just looking down, actually, it would just be, that would be cognition. What you would see peering down the staircase, you get to see this whole angle as you remember these barrels being lined up differently. Some of them are sprawled out across the floor with the supplies like the food and the rope pushed onto the floor, as some are completely resealed or put in different areas. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is tight. As you would drop. Hey, Jay, roll me a very important flexibility check. I'll give you your bonus on this, by the way. Yes, sir. You also get your character bonus in this. Do you remember what that is? Let me look at our. That's what. Oh, god damn it. My fucking. Okay, why is my Vencord doing this? My Vencord's breaking. Uh-oh. Basically, you get a certain advantage on checks. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. Let's just say you get. Yeah, let's just say you get flat advantage. You get to roll twice. Oh boy. Okay, Jesus fucking Christ, you people. Oh, all of the bad luck from the other sessions is coming back as good luck. Karma is returning. Jens. Jens, as you would come down, you would feel the rain as your hand would slightly slip on the windowsill before your right hand would come up and grab it cleanly, sort of almost denting the wood as you're able to pull yourself up and peer into the window. You're now hanging off of the windowsill. What you would end up seeing is in the corners you previously couldn't see, you see lined up sort of, how you say, garments of the previous captain, as you see exotic sort of items like elixirs, or you see a map, or, oh, you see blueprints of the entire ship in the bookshelf to your left. You also notice that the door is flayed wide open. Yes, I was about to I was about to mention that. What? Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm back. I was about to mention, as B, while you're making your way down the staircase, the heavy clattering, you almost snap one of the stairs. As when you make it to the bottom, you look out as Drifter and B. You would both see a sort of figure slip into the third floor staircase. As second off, you would see the cloaked figure in the red bed all the way forward to your right, just sort of sitting there. As once you enter with the sound of the metal clattering, they would stand up and begin to oppose you. There wouldn't be much movement from the cloaked figure. Rather, you would see a faint dripping from underneath his cloak as a couple of blood drops begin to flow from his sword that is now hidden from your sight. He would look up from underneath his cloak as you see his sort of blank, soulless eyes look forward at you. You would hear the bells clatter from his chicken hat as he exposes his face fully to you, getting to see that sort of blanketed blue hair as he speaks up. It would be 5 now that we've lost one. Lifting up his left arm and pushing out the cloak, you would see his sword drawn in blood. They were a useless teammate. They only said you couldn't kill your opponents.
Yeah, mix in your butter pad.
Appreciate it. I. What's Jay doing in the background? Okay. Beside the decoy on the table, as you would begin to ruffle around on the floor, Drifter, your eye would catch the sight of Yen's army crawling as Jens, you don't particularly find another melon in this room. There is a locked chest that you can't exactly open, but you don't know if they'd be able to open it either. You would see him nod behind you towards the open barrels. Food. Nothing like the kegs I saw in your in the bottom level. It was my last teammate. No, sir. Hey, Jay. As you would read the blueprint to the ship, you would actually find something really interesting. That this ship was designed with a singular hidden passage. In times of the pirate era, many men were of the idea to carry on their captain rather than their own body. What? They were of the idea to carry on their captain rather than themselves, as in the captain's quarters, there's a secret passage above deck and to below deck. Let me stream it. You see clearly on the blueprint that in this bookshelf, the very one you had pulled the blueprint off of, if you actually just pull it out, it leads to a staircase that goes in the hull of the ship and exits right here. From what you know. All right. Yeah. Melon juice in quotations. I will say there there would not be any melon juice in this room. There is the guy's blood from the body though. um oh wait, I didn't think about that. Good catch. There would be bloody footprints. It actually seemed to be the boots of the guy you had saw earlier, as they lead in a sort of pattern, going to the bed, going to the chest, going to the bookshelf, going to this back rack, and then exiting the room. Damn it, this guy's smart. As you wiggle the blueprint around, sort of softening the pages, a key would fall from one of the back pages. When the key falls, you see the cloaked figure look backward. He makes eye contact with you. Towards you. Mm. I see. Then he would not see you, rather he would see the key. Oh wait. Sir? Oh, okay. My bad. No, you are correct. I didn't know you were huddled up at the desk when the key fell. I thought you moved because it. Yes, he. Well, I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll. If you heard that, he's hearing that. Hmm. Roll authenticity with your benefit. Roll authenticity with your benefit. And your advantage. Don't forget your advantage. Fuck! You beat it by one! No! God damn it! You would see as the man's lips would purse slightly in a bit of doubt as his blade sort of twitched, sort of, how you say, shook for a minute before he made contact back with you as. So, what now? As you would mention his friend, you would hear from the bottom deck a blood-filled yell. This didn't seem to bother the man in the cloak even one bit, though. I would. We still have to make it to the island. Was that in character, Jay? Question mark? Question mark? Huh? The laugh. My bad, that really confused me. Okay, as we would hear as ba da da da. Alright, Zelda noise. The chest would end up opening cleanly as inside what you end up finding sticky melon juice. It's not a broken ass melon, but it's there. It's leaking a little bit. The melon, the prince is alive. It's not a fatal wound on the prince. As you take the pike end of your blade, the other side wrapped in this fish, as you would see the fish, as you would see the melon, the juice started to freeze as frost began to erupt in the room behind you, almost like a mist. As it traveled inside of the melon, you saw it visibly shrink, the watermelon rind discoloring as it began to grow crystals from the inside out. Yes, sir, it would freeze on. You're smashing the watermelon? Mind if I add a little flavor to this watermelon? As we would see the pike raise, Bee and Drifter, you would see past the cloaked man as we see Jens, full of mist in this room. Take a deep breath in and exhale in this cold plume of white as the pike comes up and the pike comes down. We see as the fragments of the watermelon, these icicle pops, begin to shatter and crawl across the floor beneath you, sending more of this sort of foggy mist in the nearby area. As landing at your feet is these popsicle watermelon flavors. As once the watermelon is destroyed, we see it light up purely white as the tiara expands and the tiara turns to dust. The The cloaked figure simply looked between his legs and looked upward. It looked like almost a frozen body had been sprawled across the floor as you hear the clinking of metal sheathing his blade as he would sigh out this white plume, the nearby air being colder, as he reached down and picked up one of these ice shards and began licking it. Defeated. You could just tell there wasn't much reaction, but he moved to sit down on the bed as on the megaphone you end up hearing the sound of where the fuck is it? On the megaphone, you hear the sound of contestants number 320, 319, and 317 have passed. He's licking his popsicle in defeat. Wasn't me. I would have started by taking out your vocal cords. One. Up. You weren't in the room, Beauregard. Oh, my bad, my bad. As previously described, there's a large amount of jewelry alongside, how you say, certain things that almost look like elixirs or expensive alcohols. You wouldn't find a jacket per se, though. There's not a bourbon, but you do pick up this very fancy, as you look on the label, 1872 vanilla whiskey extract. B? AJ, as you take your first step, thunder strikes once more as Drifter, once you make it to the top deck, you see as your examiner, Mr. Kenzo Horo, is currently sprawled off the side of the ship, having a slice of fresh watermelon in his hands. As, yeah, Mr. Kenzo Horo, that is your examiner. As you see him with a fresh slice of watermelon in his hands, as well as you look towards the front of the ship with some rope sprawled out. Hmm? With his opposite hand, he would cover his mouth as he began to speak. Oh, yeah, you pass as soon as the other person lost their ammo. As he would swallow, you would see as he would toss the watermelon rind into the water, almost immediately getting consumed by many mouths of fucking what seemed to be carnivorous sardines, as you would see him put with his right hand, he would put a thumbs up, his left hand going to place on his waist. You saw his naginata on his back reaching up to the skies as you three were some of the most efficient examinees so far. I give good props to you three. Uh, yes, you can take off the armor now. As he would motion towards his foot with watermelon slices at the ready. 'I always love doing this exam whenever I'm chosen. This is actually my 4th year being examiner. How wonderful. You would see him deadpan stare forward for a second. You're a rookie? A rookie passes once every 7 years. To your left, you see a ship upright in the water. Its nose in the air. Oh, yes, all 9 of them failed. Well, yes, if you cannot make it to the island, you are disqualified. So far, you would see him look over the horizon. We've had 72 fail so far. 21. Perhaps another 30? Sending out the herd is a generous way to put it. I was told that our next two exams require less than 60 people. I hear that the last exam is going to have no more than 20 contestants. But I didn't say that. As he would whisk away his hand, sort of adjusting the massive band around his neck. Of course. I must say, there are some promising numbers I like to see. Personally, I quite like contestant. I need to remember the badge number. Contestant number 322, the last who had entered the exam, I believe. That would be John. That would be strong. Your number is 317. I also quite like 13. Though sometimes it feels as though this is little elementary for him. You would see as the examiner would lick his thumb and put it up to the air. You finished quite early. You've got maybe an hour 15 left. Feel free to do as you please. Take your rewards off the ship. Most of it's not mine anyway. Right. Please, call me Kenzo. Well, all of the failed contestants who survive will be boarded on one of our airships to watch the rest of the exam up until the end, really. Then they'll be shipped off to wherever their residence is. Though the ones that don't survive, at least for my exam, eh, he looks out to the water. Alright. Dead Ass, you guys played that extremely efficiently. Um, yeah, that was just generally impressive. Despite the rolls glazing you, that was still really good actions taken. Um, I'm impressed with my players. It's not necessarily a handicap. Oh no, because you still made the action to search for the blueprint or search through the blueprint. Not only that, well, not only that, but you also made you made the exotic action to invade the captain's quarters through an unusual way. Exactly, teamwork. And it led to your victory. Due to the actions taken, I will be rewarding Jay and Drifter with a level up. I'm 4 category and 12 attribute. Potato. Potato, I do not think I can give you a level. It's something I've noticed since the start of this campaign is it's something I feel like we have to talk about tomorrow or some other time. I know you can do better than this, and I want to see you do better than this. Also, Enow's fucking spam pinging me. What's up? And also,